Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so I'll call the town board meeting for April 21 to, or April 18th to order. We have an agenda tonight, and we have two changes to that agenda. First is to delete item 6A. That's a solicitor license request. And the second item to delete is item 7B4. That's regarding a real estate appraisal determination. So with that, are there any other adjustments or changes to the agenda?
6A.
If not, is there a motion to approve the agenda as
moved.
changed? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the agenda. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Third item is to approve, or is for approval of payment of bills.
So moved.
Is there a second to pay the bills?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to pay bills. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. We have the April 14th, 2016 board meeting minutes in the package. Any,
April 4th.
April 4th, I'm sorry, town board meeting. And we had one minor change that we passed along to the recording secretary. Any other issues?
None.
If not, with that change, is there a motion to approve the minutes for the April 4th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item 5 on the agenda is the consent agenda, and we have 13 items. So, Steve, after you got your drink of water
drink of
there,
water.
would you read those for the viewing public, please?
Yes. Consent agenda item 5A by the Bald Eagle Yacht Club, the annual request for sailing course on Bald Eagle Lake. Notify the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office Water Patrol Unit and the applicant of the township's approval of the 2016 Bald Eagle Yacht Club sailing course on Bald Eagle Lake. Item 5B is about Manitou Day Parade participation. 5B1 is approved participation and payment of $70 entry fee for 2016 Manitou Day Parade. And 5B2, call a special town board meeting for Friday, June 17th, 2016, beginning at 4:30 p.m. for participation in the Manitou Day Parade. Consent agenda item 5C is for hobby kennel license renewal request at 3991 Birch Knoll Drive. Going to call a public hearing for Monday, May 16th, 2016 at 7:10 p.m. These will all be at Heritage Hall. Item 5D, hobby kennel renewal request at 2699 Evergreen Circle. Call public hearing for Monday, May 16th, 2016 at 7:15 p.m. 5E, hobby kennel license renewal request for 5355 Hugo Court. Call a public hearing for Monday, May 16th, 2016 at 7:20 p.m. Item 5F is a hobby kennel license renewal request at 2502 Taylor Avenue. Call a public hearing for Monday, May 16th, 2016 at 7:25 p.m. Item 5G is another hobby kennel license renewal request at 5941 Otterview Trail. Call a public hearing for Monday, May 16th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. Item 5H is a hobby kennel license renewal request at 5423 Jefferson Court. Call a public hearing for Monday, May 16th, 2016 at 7:35 p.m. Item 5I is another hobby kennel license renewal request at 5451 Normandy Court. Call a public hearing for Monday, May 16, 2016 at 7:40 p.m. 5J is a side yard setback variance request for 2577 County Road F. Call a public hearing for Monday, May 16, 2016 at 7:45 p.m. 5K is a lakeshore setback variance request for 2609 South Shore Boulevard. Call public hearing for Monday, May 16, 2016 at 7:50 p.m. Item 5L is the first quarter financial report. It's to receive the financial officer's report 5M is based on the town engineer's review and recommendation, and including his recommended conditions, approve Comcast permit through the company Universal Services to install a new fiber cable line to service 4849 White Bear Parkway, along with directional boring under Birch Lake Boulevard and setting new vaults. I make a motion to approve items 5A through 5M.
Motion's made. Is there a second to approve the consent agenda items?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded. Unless there's any further discussion, I'll call the question. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda is accepted and approved. Item 7 is new business. The first item in new business is A, first quarter construction report, and Mike, that's yours.
Okay, first quarter construction report. So for the first quarter of 2016, the town issued one residential building permit for a new home. Same last year, we had one new home in the first quarter. Residential building permits, total of 37 for the month, $388,000 in evaluation. For the total for the first quarter, 89 permits, $878,000 in valuation, compared to 31 last year at this time. The commercial construction has picked up a little bit, just for permits, just over $500,000 in evaluation. Compared to last year at this time, there was just $46,000 in evaluation, three permits. Leaves for total for the month of March, 43 building permits, just over $1 million in evaluation. The total for the first quarter, 96 permits, just over $2 million in evaluation. Compared to last year's first quarter, there was a total of 36 permits, just under $1 million in evaluation.
Mike, is the, real quickly, the permits for the siding, roof, and wind, is that residual from that storm of last year, would you?
We were trying to decide that today. Most of the storm damage is, that work has been completed. Some of this probably is a little bit, but most of it is not.
I was guessing what it might have been because in order to collect the replacement cost, they have to be done within 1 year, and so now is an urgency for people to.
Yeah,
Done.
Some of it I think reflects the storm damage, but I think the majority of that is just property owners maintaining their properties. On the screen here, this is the last 10 years of building permits issued. Each bar is a year, each color is a quarter. 2016 first quarter, 278 total permits. That is the highest quarter in the last 10 years for building permit issuance. Out of them, 278, roughly, this is how it's broken down in the pie chart here for the first quarter. 34% building permits, 24 are plumbing, 22% are electrical permits, and then the other smaller number of permits there. That includes all the permits that the town issues.
Mike, on that, on electrical permits, I know that's through the state. Does the township receive a portion of that?
The town issues all the electrical permits.
But it's just light, or it's just inspected through a state inspector?
There's, the electrical contractor is a subcontractor to the town.
Okay.
The town retains a portion. I'm not familiar with that figure. This is business licenses over the last 10 years. Currently, for 2016, we have 93 licensed businesses. If you look on the pie chart, approximately 160 notices were sent out to the businesses in the township. 60% of that 160 notices comply with the town's regulations and obtain their business license. 27% are non-compliant at this time. There will be a final notice going out to them non-compliant within the next week or so. 10% of the commercial property is vacant at this time in the township.
Mike, couple of questions on those non-compliant businesses.
Sure.
Is there a particular kind of business or size of business that's prevalent in that non-compliant category?
Yeah, I hadn't had an opportunity to review what that 27% is, but I would imagine it's just a random section of the township businesses.
In, if, is there a compliance due date set? And if they violate that, is there a fine?
I do believe the town has a fine set up. I'm not familiar with the ordinance right off the top of my head here, but generally we send written notices out until we get compliance.
All right, thanks.
These are the rental properties in the township over the last 10 years. On the bar graph here, you can see the increasing number over the last 10 years. 175 are currently licensed. If you look at the pie chart, out of 200 notices, approximately 200 notices that were sent out, 68% have obtained a proper license. Out of that 200, 22% had either sold the property or taken it off the rental market. And we have about 8% that are not compliant, not responding to our town's notifications. This is a pie chart on code violations in the township. I just became aware of some improper numbers here on the pie chart. Basically, the bigger portion is 57%. The remaining 3 are 14%. But this was the majority of the complaints received by the township in the first quarter. Unlicensed inoperable vehicles, garbage containers, and litter. Pretty standard after a snow melt. Just miscellaneous junk and debris. And a couple of tree complaints.
The question on the dead tree, at what point do you get more involved in that, if it's a safety hazard?
The town regulates diseased trees and dead standing trees.
Okay.
it can be hard to determine whether they standing live trees are a hazard, unless it's absolutely obvious.
So it doesn't have to be a safety hazard, we regulate on if it's standing and
Standing
dead
dead, yep.
or diseased.
Yep, it has to go.
And then the responsibility for removing that dead tree is the property owner, right?
That is correct.
But if they don't comply, if the township has to do it, then the property owner is assessed?
That would be the case if
Okay.
we needed to do that type of a removal. Vacant buildings in the township, the last 5 years here. Numbers per quarter. Last year, we had a total of 17 registered vacant buildings. 2 for the, up to this point, first quarter of 2016. Lastly, a pie chart on the vacant buildings. 2 have been registered. The town has declared one of the buildings vacant. And the remaining 10 are in some point of foreclosure.
Is that foreclosure item, is that similar to last year, or?
Yeah, I think there was, I noticed, well, obviously from the number on last year, 17 was a pretty large number, I thought, for the township. I'm not sure if we're kind of on the same track here, so it's hard to say which way that'll, if there'll be as many or. That is all I had.
Okay. Any questions for the building inspector? Comments? Thank you, Mike.
Want a motion to receive?
Yeah.
I'll move to receive the building report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to receive the building inspector's report. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. 7B on the agenda is for the town engineer, and that's regarding the Pine Hill development.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, tonight there's actually 3 pieces to the Pine Hill project. I'll kind of go back and forth for the first 2 of them, those being the letter from the North Oaks Company regarding the feasibility report and the feasibility report itself. Previously, the town board has given preliminary plat approval. That here is the project. To the west is Centerville Road. To the north is County Road H2. And I-35E is on the east portion. The feasibility report was authorized. That's what we are bringing to you tonight. As we've gone through this, part of your packet has the April 14th letter from North Oaks, and it describes that this feasibility report is for the 28 single-family residential lots. We have been working with them through the feasibility report so that we are in agreement with what it calls out within it. The time frame, I'll walk through that in the end of the report, is to get everything done this year, actually get stuff ready for this fall to have a home on the Parade of Homes. North Oaks and the township have a long relationship and working together, and North Oaks wants to go forward with this. They, as stated, are in agreement with the report, and we can talk about the funding of that here shortly. Just to kind of run through the development, the North Oaks will perform the grading activity, the tree removals, there's demolition out on the site, and they will basically get this project area prepared for the utilities and the street construction. As stated, the 28 parcels will all be serviced. Currently, the township has water main that comes along the north side of H2 to Peterson Road, and to the south, the sanitary sewer runs just south of the project and down to the Met Council interceptor. The sanitary, everything will come from this portion of the development, servicing all the way up to both ends of the project. As part of this, with the water main, we will run a line through the development. There will also be a line brought to the south for future extension, and we will be looping the line along the south side of County Road H2 and connecting to existing water main that is currently from County Road H2 on the east side of Centerville Road. It runs through the hill, the high portion there. That is not connected to anything, so that will be the first connection to any live water system that we have. The storm sewer will be contained through the site with the ponding set up on the east side of that, and then going into the wetland in the southeast corner. The street improvements will be our standard 7-ton road design. In this area, we've had the soil conditions tested out there. We will be following the 7-ton road design. To meet that, though, we will have 1.5 inches of bituminous wear, 2 inches of bituminous base, and 8 inches of class 5. I'm going on page 4 of the feasibility. And then there will be some areas that we anticipate needing a 12-inch select granular to make sure that we have a good solid road. And our standard township is to have the D12 concrete curb. The project will put in the first layer of bituminous this year, and then approximately 80% of the homes built, that final lift of bituminous wear will be performed. The plat is in the packet. We kind of areas that we have been working with is this stretch here will be for emergency vehicle access. There will be separate documentation for that activity. Also, the trail system will run along through here down to this end, and also through here. We will also have separate documentation for that. All the drainage utility easements will cover that area. When you get into a trail, you have to specifically call out that construction activity to have the ability to put that trail in. Trails cannot just go into a standard drainage and utility easement. As stated, preparation of the site will be done through North Oaks. That'll include site grading to within 2/10 of the proposed grades. Running through things on page 5, that the grading will include the treatment pond and infiltration area on the east side, the private utilities, when you get into the gas, the electric, telephone, cable, those will be done through the developer after the street is put in. The street lights are not a requirement of the township. If they are so chosen to be put in, that would be a cost by the developer. Same thing with the signage, all that stuff will be put in through development. Same thing with the landscaping. So the township will go through the process for bidding out the work to do the sanitary sewer, the water main, the storm sewer, and the streets. We will have a collection of permits that will be needed for this activity. The demolition and grading for the activity done up front through the township. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency will need both an NPDES stormwater permit and a sanitary sewer extension permit. Through the Metropolitan Council Environmental Services, we'll also have a sanitary sewer extension. The Minnesota Department of Health will address the water main extension, and this area is covered by the Vadnais Lakes Area Water Management Organization for the storm sewer. And Ramsey County, both Centerville Road and County Road H is under their jurisdiction, and we have already been in contact with these entities as the preliminary plat through the feasibility, through everything getting to this point has been addressed. On page 6, we get into the total cost of this project. It will be at $1,463,100. On page 7, we discuss the breakdown of that. The project itself will be financed through North Oaks. There is a portion of the water main with that looping system, at this point estimated at $96,200 that the township would be contributing at this point. That would bring the total project for North Oaks just under $1,367,000. That will be worked through as we do the plans and specifications to get exact numbers on all of these activities. Again, there's 28 lots. When you divide that amongst them for reference, it's just under $49,000 per lot. On page 8, you can see the schedule that we are at. We've already gone through the petitioning process for the project, the feasibility report, going through the preliminary reviews and project costs. Tonight, we are at the point of receiving those feasibility reports and documentation from North Oaks and looking for ordering of the preparation of plans and specifications. We will be working on those immediately so that we can get those out to bid. The actual plan specifications would come back to the town board for their review, and also reviewing with North Oaks so that we can get bids in June and construction the second half of this summer. Regarding the costs, the breakdown is at the end of the feasibility report. We list out the costs, the breakdowns with regarding to the engineering, legal, fiscal, and administration. Because, as you can see on each of these components, because of North Oaks will be financing this project, there is a zero cost regarding township financial charges. So we will not be taking on any financial activities through this, so we won't be incurring any costs of that order. We'll have some components when we get into the legalities of going out for bids and going through the process. But what this does do for the overall schedule is, because we're not doing any assessments or anything for those 28 parcels, we do not have to do any public hearings. We don't have to go through the 429 process regarding those assessments. As stated in the letter from North Oaks that's in your packet, they are in agreement with the feasibility report. The letter addresses that. To start the process, there is a $150,000 amount that North Oaks will be presenting to the township. Two things, I'll open it up for questions, and Gary Eagles is here tonight to answer anything and talk about the funding from their part too, or any questions that the board has.
Okay, so just a quick review then, Jim. This is the same project, the same details we have been reviewing since the end of last year, so the project scope is consistent with what we've been looking at since then.
Correct. The overall project is the same. We just continue to get more details as we go through this process.
And then basically what you're requesting for tonight is 3 action items. I guess the order I would put them in would be to receive your feasibility report, and then based on that feasibility report, we have the North Oaks Company correspondence to accept that feasibility report.
That would be fine.
And then the third action item would be to authorize going ahead with the preparation of the plans and specifications.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Any questions from the board?
Jim, I got one on your note here, page 84 of our packet, to the board. You say the final plat will also address removal of Outlot A?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, in my cover letter, I'm trying to do some cleanup activities. You can see in some of the exhibits, 13, this one, lot here, in some of the exhibits, this portion here is called out as Outlot A. That is being removed and is part of Lot 13. So it's inconsistency through the documents that have been presented. And that does bring up a good point. Working with Gary Eagles, there will be components that we are squaring up with for the final plat to come forward. As we talked about earlier, the connection to the sanitary sewer is actually outside of their property, so we'll have several components when the final plat comes forward.
Okay, and then also, this is technically a public road, correct?
It will become a public road, correct?
Then I thought the town had an ordinance for streetlights on public roads.
We do not require them.
Really?
We have a standard.
Yes, we have a standard if it's requested. It has to meet a certain standard before the town would approve it, but we don't require it.
Oh, okay. And then last, I've got, maybe Mr. Eagles can answer this. Do you have a name for the road yet? Is it an extension of Peterson, or is it a new road?
We have to ask you to introduce yourself and,
Gary Eagles, Vice President of Development for North Oaks Company.
Thanks, Gary.
We proposed Pine Hill Lane.
Okay.
We have yet to run that through the post office. I didn't find any other Pine Hill lanes in the Metro County, or Metro 7 County area, so I'm assuming that'll be okay.
And that's,
you weren't thinking of Prudhoe Drive or something, were you?
no, no. Is that still a 55127 then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I got.
Steve?
Well, going to Ed's comment on the streetlight, of all the areas that I think that it would be some of important is where, Ed, you live across that way, so is that slope low enough that a streetlight, cars coming out of there in the dark?
Well, there's a street light right on Peterson Road.
On the
right
other
there.
side, that's,
Right.
yeah, okay, that's one of the questions, that took care of that. The other question I have is on page 4 of your feasibility study, where it talks about the trail. You know, when we originally saw the first time around, it was a less than a 10-foot wide trail coming in from the development to the trail system. It doesn't clearly say that, I think in the diagram it's so small I couldn't tell, is that going to be a 10-foot wide trail
Yes,
also?
and on page 4, we do call out the 10-foot width of the trail.
Of the trail, but the other part has to do with the connection from the roadway to that. I just wanted to make, that was the issue the first time around, is that was a 8-foot versus a 10-foot?
All the trails will be 10-foot.
Okay. And then one other question, the system, on page 3 of your report, the storm sewer is designed to meet or exceed all watershed requirements. That's as they exist, as you know, today, or is this going to be better
Correct.
than for our future issues, or as much as you know?
Yeah, we meet all the standards, and we even exceed them. And so I do not have any issues with that storm design.
Okay. I'm done.
Okay. Jim, getting back to the streetlights, if we were to install or design streetlight locations in here based on the township standards, how many would we have, and approximately where would they be located?
Again, Mr. Chair, Mr. Member of the board, we don't call out any illumination criteria. We just say, if you choose to put in a street light, here is the model, the type that you would be installing. Typically, we only do them, we would evaluate at intersections or cul-de-sacs or something like that, but we don't have, like hydrants, there's no spacing criteria or anything of that nature.
Yeah, I could add that where there's a vertical alignment change and a hill or horizontal alignment change and a curve, those are also criteria that we use. So I suppose it's conceivable that it could be lit up with 5 eventually, but that some of them would be awful close together.
Well, I just bring it up as, quite often after an area is developed, after the streets are put in, then we start getting calls from residents about lighting. And what would it take to have an extra light installed on my corner? Or it's pretty dark down at the end of the lane here, what would it take to get a street light put in there? So I'm just anticipating, it's very possible we might get some phone calls as people move in looking for lighting. So, Gary, can I ask you if you've looked at that or considered that at all?
Well, we have 6 of them on our plan, just for schematic purposes, to see what the layout might be. We haven't done any project with Connexus Energy before, as far as what
Okay.
they offer for street lighting, so I've made a call to them to see.
So you have locations for them on the plan, you just don't have them specified or called out in your plan to be installed
And
yet?
I'm not sure if
Okay.
Connexus provides the lights and installs, or what the costs might be, so we're still
Okay.
investigating that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments, staff? Then we have 3 action items requested, and one thing that helps the project, I think, Jim, you touched on it, the township isn't going to have any kind of bonding obligations to finance this, so that helps. But the first item we have, action item, is to receive the feasibility report. And the second item is to receive North Oaks Company's correspondence agreeing to the feasibility report and the project deposit. And finally, to authorize preparation for plans and specs. So I'll ask the board,
I'll move to receive the feasibility report.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to receive the feasibility report. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
And then I'll also move to receive North Oaks Company's correspondence. This is regarding the project deposit.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further comments?
Maybe Gary could address the latest on the actual $150,000 as part of.
What's that?
Yeah, the town has received a check from Gary today for
Oh,
$150,000.
okay.
So
Okay.
received. Okay, great.
All right, so that motion's made and seconded. I assume no further discussion. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion is passed. And the last item?
And then I'll move based on staff review and recommendations, review and authorize preparation of plans and specifications for the Pine Hills subdivision. This is the North Oaks Hable property.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. If there's no further discussion, those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. So we're on our way. Gary, thank you very much. Jim, thank you.
I appreciate the efforts of the board on this, and with Mr. Sadinsky's help in TKDA, I'm sure we'll have a good project for the township.
And we're looking forward to seeing a model home out there this fall.
Thank you very much.
All right, going back to the agenda, item 7C is a public works item regarding street sweepings disposal. And Dale, I assume that's yours.
Yes. Good evening, Chairman Kermis and Supervisor Prudon and Rusick. I've got, as you know, back in March 21st, the town board approved contract. I'll start out with, we started this year with contractual street sweeping as a pilot to see how it would work in a stormwater program, and it worked well. The board approved the proposal for the hourly rate on March 21st. The street sweeping was completed during the week of April 11th. It was 2 days, and they were done, which is far shorter than when we use the in-house staff to do street sweeping services. So with what goes with that is there's the debris we picked up. In the past, we have disposed of it through a dumpster service. And this year, I'm proposing that we look at disposal with the contractor who actually was the low proposal on the street sweeping contract. I have numbers, estimated numbers there based on previous year's total tonnage of disposal. The dumpsters was by the ton, but we converted that to the cubic yard price so we could have a fair comparison. It's about 1.35 tons per cubic yard. So that's how I came up with the estimated dollars for disposal through 3 different bidders or proposals. First one being Allied Blacktop Company for $4,050. Second would be Ace Solid Waste for $5,576, and third proposal was from White Disposal for $6,232. And you can see in parentheses behind those the per ton price. With Allied Blacktop, the per ton price was $37.50. Ace Solid Waste was $38.72, and White Disposal was $43.28. And their per ton prices, including tipping fees and all, the environmental fee and fuel charge and all that. So what I'm recommending to the town board, being that the actual cost of our spring sweep was about $7,440, and disposal estimate at this point is about $12,000 total. So we add when we had the 4,000, I have estimated for the sweeping disposal, debris disposal, and we have a budget of 27,560. I mean, we have 27,560 left after removing the street sweeping, spring street sweeping costs. So my recommendation is to approve the proposal from Allied Blacktop Company for $37.50 a ton. And then, that's it.
Dale, so this, they pick it up, this $37.50 per ton charge is all-inclusive, they pick the material up, they transport it, this covers the placement wherever it goes?
Yep.
And where is it being?
They take it back to their yard and they recycle it.
Ah, okay. Okay. Any other questions for Public Works?
No?
If not, is there a motion on the request?
Sure. I'll make a motion based on Public Work Director review and recommendation. Approve the proposal from Allied Blacktopping Company for $37.50 per ton to dispose of street sweeping debris with funding from the Stormwater Operating Fund.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the Allied Blacktopping Company proposal. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 7D on the agenda is regarding a planning commission member appointment.
There's a vacancy on the planning commission. The town has received 3 applicants. Those applicants are included in your packet. Also included is a map on page 126 that identifies in dots where our existing planning commissioners live, and in stars where the 3 applicants live. The reason that that's included in your packet is that it's one of the town's goals to try to have representation on each commission from as many neighborhoods of the town as possible.
We have 3 applicants, and all of them look extremely well qualified to me and appear to be capable people. I think any one of them would do a good job. The one thing that interests me is that Zachary Flan lives in the south part of the township on the south of the lake. And right now, we have no representative from that area. Excuse me. I guess personally, I would see a benefit to have somebody from that area on the planning commission.
Yeah,
Any other feelings from the board members?
I agree with that. I guess one question, if Tom was here, I'd ask him if he's talked to, so that all 3 candidates know when the meeting times are and the expectations of being a member of the planning commission. I'm assuming that has not, is that just done on the application, Bill, or is that a conversation yet to be had?
I don't know. Generally speaking, people who express an interest in a particular commission will have had a chance to view it on our website or learn more about it, but I haven't spoken to any of the 3 myself.
Well, I agree with the same thing Bob says, is our goal is to spread it around, and it seems to make sense.
Ed, planning commission is your area. What do you think?
Well, we do have the majority of the people are on the lake, so, and obviously when we have lake issues, we're well informed. So, I mean, I understand having someone from the south end of the town.
Well, and the lake you're talking about there is Bald Eagle, so
Good clarification.
this way we'll get a chance to talk about other lake issues. So does that mean you would support Zachary then?
Yes.
Okay.
But before this matter is concluded, Bill, do you know, I noticed that 2 of the other people their terms are expiring this month. Do we know if they've renewed also?
Nope,
Or-
you're the second supervisor to ask that question today.
Oh, wow.
And,
Want to be the third, ever with the
and Tom's not in today, otherwise I'd had an answer for you.
Okay. Forget my
Good
question.
observation, obviously. are you willing to take action tonight?
Yes.
or- Okay.
Yes, if we need a motion to offer the planning commission open a seat to Zachary Flan or Flan? That'd be my recommendation.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So the motion is made to appoint Zachary Flan to the Planning Commission. There's no further questions or comments. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Just noting, that's a, what, 1-year term?
Yeah, just so it's clear, it's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the on-field commissioner term of the planning commission through April 30th of 2017.
Good point.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed. All right, item 8 on the agenda is for any added agenda items. We have none. Item 9 is open time. Mike, unless you have something else you'd like to say, there's, doesn't appear to be any other comments to be made. Item 10 is to receive agenda materials and supplements.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Those in favor of receiving agenda materials and supplements, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 11 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned.
Yeah, I was waiting for you. I know you like to keep the meetings going along.